So hi guys, welcome to Everybody Eats. I'm Rebecca. This week we're going to make a really simple lentil and vegetable soup. It takes about 25 minutes to make and about maybe 15 to prepare, so let's get cooking. So I think I learned to make this soup when I was about 10 with my mum, but we'll get into that later. So let's have a look at the ingredients and how much they cost. Leeks, 150. Onions, 65p. Carrots, 59p. Stock cubes, 119. Turnip, 48. Lentils, 79p. Potatoes, 125. And garlic, 32p. So I'm just going to start the prep now. Okay, make sure that you wash your hands beforehand, obviously, because nobody wants dirty vegetables. And then just wash each veg as you go. All right, so I'm going to start with the turnip because it's the hardest to cut, and I just want that one out of the way first, to be honest. All right, so you just give it a quick rinse all over. All right, and then you take the wee hairs off it. Okay, because there's always going to be a fair few of them on a turnip, which is a bit of a pain. All right. And then just make sure you take off the excess, okay? And then basically with the turnip, you're just gonna try and take the top half off, all right? There, and then take the bottom half off, which is never fun. The first time I did this, I actually did cut my finger near enough right through, which wasn't great for anybody. And my mum had me bleeding. See, it's already going wrong. Mum had me bleeding in the kitchen, which was great fun. But anyway, so you just kind of cut round it, okay, and try as best you can to take all the skin off at the side, like that, okay? Not doing it very well right now, that's because it's a massive turnip. Normally you'd kind of get one about half this size for the soup that I'm going to make, so I'm probably only going to use half of it now, but this was the best one. I've used this for a lot of things like football bus trips. It's fed all of us on the bus, and there's a lot of us on a team, and it's just a good kind of hearty soup in the winter as well. I always used to say when I was younger, if I'd had a really bad day at school or a really bad day at college or a really, really bad day at uni or whatever, to my mum, all I want is my mummy's homemade soup. And it works every time. Doesn't matter the mood, doesn't matter the weather, my mum's homemade soup made everything better. And that rhymed, and that was an accident. I can't get down the middle of this. So there you go. The new knife helps, all right? So what you're probably gonna need is about that amount. That's all you're gonna need. So I'm gonna take that away, and that's what you're using there, all right? So you just wanna chop each bit into like small cubes, okay, kind of about that size, and then chop them again. So we're pretty much there, all right, and then that just goes straight in your pot, yeah? So you just, and don't try and, don't knock any over or anything like that, and then that just goes in there. And then that's you onto your carrots. All right, again, you're gonna need the whole bag for this, pretty much. Normally, it's a bag and a half, but these are really big carrots, so I won't need anything extra, which is fine. All right, again, make sure that you wash them all, all right? Kind of self-explanatory, to be honest. All right. Now, you can grate them if you want, but I don't normally grate them, I just leave them in like their little circles, all right? Or some people like to take off the skin, but actually if you take off the skin, it's taking a lot of the nutrients out of the top layer. So as long as they're washed, you're fine. All right, so you just take the tops and the bottoms off of each of them. All right, so you've taken the tops and bottoms off them. That was quite a big bit, don't normally take that amount off it, but, and then you're literally just cutting them into circles. As big as you like, because carrots have a tendency to, what's the word I'm looking for? They have a tendency to kind of shrink when you're cooking them anyway. There we go. All right, and then you just, again, take your tray over at the pot and then pop them in, all right? And hopefully don't drop any on the floor, which I didn't manage to do. So as I said, just keep the kitchen clean because that's what I went off to do there. All right, because if you don't, you just get in a muddle and everything gets everywhere, which nobody wants. So I'm on to my potatoes, okay? I've already given them a rinse, all right? So you just go straight in from there, all right? You can use a peeler, but I prefer to use a knife just so that you're taking off kind of a thick enough skin, all right? And then you chop them into 4 and pop them in the pot, all right? But you chop them into 4 mainly so that they're small enough that, again, they boil down properly. All right, because potatoes are one of the harder veggies that you've got in, along with your carrots and your turnip. All right, so you are taking, not too much, you're probably taking about like that off it. All right, so it's pretty thick, a skin that you're taking off your potatoes. I did once actually make this for my football team, because I play American football at university. And pretty much all the guys stole every inch of soup that I had. Like I'd made like 4 or 5 flasks or something like that so that we could share it out. I literally went to go get changed out of my kit and it was gone. It was completely gone, not a single bit of it left for me. So the guys then decided to make up for it and go and do a McDonald's and Burger King run to make up for it. So I had like 8 guys bringing me different Burger King meals, and I don't eat that kind of stuff because I'm actually, I'm pescatarian, so yeah. They then went to McDonald's to get like a fillet of fish thing, but yeah, we ended up with like a bus full of McDonald's that nobody could eat because they'd already stolen all my soup. So that was an interesting bus ride home. All the way from Aberdeen with nothing but the smell of Burger King and McDonald's. It wasn't particularly pleasant. But even like if a bunch of old guys on a football bus likes the soup, then I thought I was pretty much sold. It means it's a winner, I reckon. All right, and then taking your excess. It seems like you're taking a lot off them, but it's the needed amount to get no skin in the soup at the end of the day. All right. The potatoes usually make your hands kind of greasy, so just feel free to give them a wash in between. And if your hands are quite greasy, especially from the potatoes, if you just rub a bit of salt on them, it takes everything out, which was a trick that my mum actually taught me. So it sounds disgusting, but it works. It takes out all sorts of smells, like if you're using fish and things like that as well. All right, so then you just back to your pot. Now, normally I'd probably use 1 leek. But normally, like, you've got longer leeks. So these are quite small, but they're also quite, you know, kind of chunky. So I'm actually going to use both, just to see how that tastes, to be perfectly honest. And yeah, because I feel like it, just go extra leeks today, since they're there. All right, so you take your ends off and you take your top half off. All right, now if you look at that, you've got kind of all the dirt that's kind of in the middle here. So you want to give that, like, even though this has come off, you bin that part, but you can still see that there's some on this. So we'll give that a scrub once we cut it in a minute. Because you don't want that, like, you don't want that getting in soup, because that's not pleasant. All right, so basically just take it down the middle. All right, this is the part where it becomes a bit footery. All right, so if your first layer kind of has dirt on it, feel free to take it off, which is what I'm going to do. All right, that bit there. So just take the layer off that you need to get rid of the dirt, okay? And then if there's any, that's taken off kind of the top layer of the dirt bit. All right, and then chop it down the middle again. And with this, it does get kind of fiddly, so make sure your fingers are far enough back the way. All right. You can buy like kind of finger guards for cutting that one of my friends advised me about because I kept cutting my fingers, but what's life without a little bit of danger and the possibility of cutting your fingers when you're cooking? Why not? So you just then pop this back in your pot, okay? So onto the onion, all right? So it's just 1 onion. Normally if it's about that size, you're fine. If it's any smaller than that, use 2, all right? Every time I'm cooking with onions, for some strange reason, I just wish that Gino D'Acampo was round the back of me saying funny things in Italian. Don't know why. Probably because every time I watch him making stuff with onions, he's saying ridiculous things or he's dancing about the kitchen. So it's a tip for me next time. Maybe somehow magically get Gino D'Acampo in my kitchen. If nobody knows who that is, watch This Morning, because that makes me sound really old, the fact that I occasionally watch that show. But anyway, He's a very good looking Italian chef, that's all I'll say. All right, so you just take all your skin off, all right, so there's nothing left on it, and then chop it in half again. This is the point where my eyes start to water, so I've got a trick, all right? You guys don't have to do it, it's something that I do. I normally stick a metal spoon in my mouth or a metal fork in my mouth because believe it or not, the metal in the spoon stops you from crying. There's something about the acid and then the alkaline in the spoon. So yeah, I'm gonna start like weeping in a minute. But it does work. It sounds mental, but it does work. Make sure that the rounded bit, I think, goes up on the rounded bit of your mouth and it'll stop you from crying. It's a weird trick, but it works. So like when my other half walks in and sees me doing that, even 5 years in, he laughs so much. I'm actually like, oh, my eyes are going all watery. Hate working with onion. It's worth it when it's finished, it's fine. All right, so you're just looking for kind of little chunks, maybe about that big, again, so that when they're boiling down, they're easy to mash. All right, and me and my watery eyes are now gonna go put this in the pot. All right, so you're then on to your garlic. All right, now quite a lot of the time, if you've not got access to garlic, you can use like garlic granules, which you get in pretty much any supermarket in little glass tubs, but I prefer to use the real thing. All right, so you just, normally it would just chop in half, but today would be the day that it decides not to. So you just cut into it, all right? She says, get a knife stuck. All right, and then normally it would just, there you go. So if you just cut into the edge of it and then break one bit off, all right? Now normally you would crush a piece of garlic down, all right? But I don't, I just chop it into small bits. It just evens out the flavour, I think. And it gives it a bit more of a kick underneath the veg, all right? So you've started off with double that size, you're only gonna use about that. All right, just make sure that you've taken all the skin and stuff off. All right, and then put everything to the side that you're not using. And then I quite literally just chop it into tiny, tiny little bits rather than crushing it. Mainly because every single time I crush it, I end up injuring myself. Come cook with Becca, she hurts herself. That's apparently my thing, all right? So you just take those little bits like that, all right? And then pop it in the pan. Just make sure you're evenly spreading it kind of across the pan. All right, and that's us pretty much done. So we're just on to the lentils, all right? So you've got your full bag. All right, for a pot this size, you're kind of looking to use half of these. All right, and again, today would be the day that it doesn't want to work. So just open up your lentils, all right? Where did my sieve go? So you want to get kind of your even average size sieve and put about half to maybe 3/4 of that bag into your sieve. All right, I'm still like dribbling from that onion actually. Anyway, and then you give them a good rinse, okay? Now somebody asked me not that long ago, do you soak them overnight? And no, you don't. You don't have to. As long as they're thoroughly washed and all of the dust's off them, that's the main thing. They don't need soaked or anything like that. That's more if you're making kind of pea soups and stuff. All right, so just make sure that every inch is just covered in water. Covered in water. I'm so close to singing show tunes right now, just because I feel like there we go. Okay, so just let that kind of dribble off. All right, or if you've got it, right, you just grab your pot lid and then it stops draining. Simple. All right, pop them in like that, and then pop in your kettle on. So you're kind of at the point of actually cooking it now. So first off, you're going to need your Pyrex jug with the 2 chicken stock cubes in it. I prefer Knorr in comparison to any others because they are actually the best. Oxo have a tendency to like break up and stuff. You don't really want that. So just get your kettle and fill 2 jugs worth. So one with the actual stock cubes in it, and then one without. And that should be enough water to start off with. All right. So while I'm doing this, basically the first time I made this, it all went horrifically wrong. I was 10. Now my mum's made this soup hundreds of times. Like, I don't actually know how many times she's made it. So you just stir it and make sure that your stock cubes are pretty much dissolved, which is not doing very well at the minute. And I was away, like she'd asked me to prep the veg and stuff, so I helped her prep. And we went to the sink, and it had been on the hob for a while. And I think it's because neither of us started to stir it. It basically, I don't know if implode's the right word, exploded on top of the cooker, and it went right the way up to the hob and it went everywhere. And it was far enough projectile that it hit both of us. So that one did not work out very well whatsoever. We ended up with soup all over the kitchen. I think we were still scrubbing soup off the kitchen roof for like a week maybe. It was kind of funny. And my dad came in and the two of us were just drenched in like bits of carrot and stuff. And it, to this day, it remains one of the funniest cooking stories in our house. So every time my mum makes it, Dad has a tendency to remind her, mind and no blow it up this time. Which I don't think's happened since. It has happened in my kitchen once where it blew up, but that's because I had a really rotten hob. So yeah, basically you're just kind of making sure that all your veg is under the water at this point. I've not got enough in, so if you've not got enough in, put it in on top. And make sure that it's kind of covering completely so that there's no veg exposed, if you like. All right? And then you just leave it to simmer at that point. It takes about 25 minutes. Now you know when it's nearly done because the lentils will all have popped and it'll have gone kind of this weird orangey, I think gloopy colour is the way that I would put it. So this is just the point where you're blending it basically, and this is the first time I've used this, so let's see how this goes. Okay, so you just pop it in, kind of under the surface type thing, and then you blend it to whatever kind of thickness you want, so. That actually didn't go too badly. I thought that was, genuinely thought that was gonna explode or come off at some point, but it didn't, which is good. Get that out of the way, and then you're pretty much ready to plate it up. So that's pretty much it. That's your soup made 25 minutes later and it's ready to go. So hopefully you guys can make it the same and enjoy it at home the same way that I do, and hopefully create your own memories and stuff like that. Other than that, enjoy the next episode of Everybody Eats. Thank you.